Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to WWE Know Your Role. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Victoria, brother, sister of Providence, and today we're reviewing the 2014 Hell in a Cell.
Yes, we are. And the first match was Cesaro versus Dolph Ziggler, a 2 out of 3 fall match. This match started off, it was kind of good. It got Cesaro and Dolph were kind of like trading off pinfalls. Nobody really controlled the beginning. A lot of try to trick pins and stuff. Then Cesaro ends up going with his swing move and ends up Ziggler ends up countering it eventually and gets the 1, 2, 3 for the first fall. There was 4 minutes into the match, a little quick than I thought, but it's fine. After that, Cesaro kind of controls that match. You're ready for him to pin him and do all that, but just didn't quite happen. Because ends up that the old famouser comes showing his face, and 1, 2, 3, and Ziggler wins. He wins 2 and 0 for Cesaro. So
I was really bummed actually Cesaro didn't actually get a pin, because Cesaro's good enough for a pin. You know what I'm saying? So I was actually a little disappointed that he actually didn't get a pin in. But it was all around actually a pretty good match. Those two actually put on a great show. And it was a lot of effort and a lot of energy. And I want to say, 2 things about it. One, Cesaro doesn't shave his body. I don't know about anybody else, but that weirded me out. I was like, oh shit, Ryan, look, he doesn't even shave his legs. Just one little, tidbit. And another thing is that
now every time I look at that,
you can't help it. He has fucking hairy ass legs. And the second thing is that I love Dolph. He's such a good showman. He's like a Mr. Perfect Shawn Michaels mix. So it was kind of a good match. And Cesaro is such a big dude. I mean, he's not, the hugest, not like the Big Show, but he's such a big, muscular dude. So I really enjoyed this match with the 2 different styles going at it. I liked it.
No, I thought it was a great match. I mean, to put this as your opening match, it was great. I mean, those 2 work really well together. Ziggler, he can sell anything. I mean, anybody who really watches this knows that Ziggler is a great seller. He puts on good matches every time. Cesaro's also another one that has come about so that he just throws on good matches as well. So them 2 together, it was a great match. So what we've decided to do is we wanted to give a rating system for every match. 1 through 10. So this match, I gave a 7. I thought it was a 7 because, I mean, yeah, there's been a lot better matches, but to open a show up and to have something like that and them 2 do like they did, definitely a 7.
For an IC match, I gave it a 7 as well. I mean, this is good. This is really IC material. And I like at the beginning of the match they kind of did this little IC review. But it says, Bret Hart won this, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, all the greats. So it kind of pumped it up before the match.
To build on that IC thing that we've been talking about. So yeah.
Yeah. So the second match was Brie Bella versus Nikki Bella. I don't even know really where to begin. It, to me, was terrible. It wasn't fast-paced at all. They were lackluster on every move they did. I mean, to do their moves, it took them forever to actually get the move on. And there was a yes lock, which I love, but it took Brie a little while to get it on. So to me, I'm just watching the match I just wanted it to end so bad. And another thing is, and I am not a diva hater, but I am at the same time.
You're a huge diva
I'm a diva hater, I guess, whatever. Because it just sucked. Everything about it was terrible. I heard them talk about what moves they were going to do. I heard them yell, reversal, at least, see, your mouth or something. Do something so I don't hear it. I hated it, and at the end, Nikki ended up winning, and now Brie has to be her personal assistant. So I just think it was not pay-per-view worthy at all. Maybe SmackDown worthy.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't good. And women wrestling, there's some good things, and we'll get later on to that. But this match was pretty stiff, pretty boring. A good reason to why it was so boring is if you listen to the crowd, they were chanting JBL in the middle of the match. I mean, How does JBL? I mean, how does he even? Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
So I mean, I get why they were chanting it because what else the hell are you gonna do but chant JBL or something? So that was just a little point that, yeah, they don't produce and no.
No, so I gave this match, surprisingly, I gave it 2 out of 10 because I've actually seen worse, but it was not pay-per-view worthy, so you get the good deucers.
And see, now I actually gave it a 2 of 10 as well. And because my 1s and my 10s, I mean, they gotta really be 1s or 10s, and at least they moved. I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'll give it that 2 because they didn't completely it wasn't completely botched. It was just boring, and so.
Yeah, no, it was botched.
No. So for that reason, a 2, a solid 2. By the way, a solid.
Nice
2.
number 2.
Yeah, a B plus 2.
A D plus player.
Anyways, on from that one. The next one we had was Stardust, Goldust, and the Usos. This match was pretty much controlled by Goldust and Stardust, mainly Goldust. He was in the ring quite more than Stardust was. He did a lot. He moved. He still moves well. I mean, he's still the man. I mean, he's a little slower than before, but he's still good. Then the Usos end up kind of getting control. A really cool part of the match was the Usos double Jimmy had Stardust or Goldust. I'm not sure who Jimmy or Jay is. It's hard to kind of.
An Uso.
Yeah, an Uso had Goldust.
Whatever.
And the other Uso had Stardust.
No, everyone's gonna think we're racist.
And then yeah. Why'd you have to say that? And then they both double suplexed off the top rope. That was a really cool moment. The Usos, they always move well in matches. We're kind of sick of the Usos Goldust Stardust thing, but to take that out of, just to not worry about that, but just to actually, review the match. I mean, it was a good match. Goldust ends up finally, it all kind of breaks apart, and then eventually Goldust counters one of the moves from the Usos, 1, 2, 3, and Goldust Stardust win.
What I have to say about this match is that you got to look at it this way. Like, Goldust is 50 years old. The Usos and Cody Rhodes, they're in their 20s, mid-20s, early 20s, and you can't even tell that Goldust is older. He keeps up with them. He doesn't do what he used to do. He's not a big of a risk taker, I guess you want to call it, but he still keeps up with them, which is always surprising to me, which is why I like to watch him and Cody wrestle sometimes, because you have to, turn negative into positive, because I'm not all about the Stardust thing. But other than that, I enjoyed that, and I enjoy watching Goldust, and I enjoy watching him try to, teach these young guys how to wrestle. So, it was all right. It was okay.
So, for this match, I give it a 4 out of 10. I thought, there was, just because I thought, the Usos really do work well, and I thought, Goldust and Stardust did a well enough job. Definitely not going to get better because, the match was only about 11 minutes, I think I counted. So, but 4, I think 4 is being generous. So, and the fact that I think Cody Rhodes being a Stardust is horrible, and he could be a single competitor, but that's another topic, but we're just reviewing, so
yeah,
4 out of 10.
So I give it 5 out of 10, just because I'm such a big Goldust fan. I really am, and I like watching him wrestle.
And
so
you're
I kind of.
Cody Rhodes fan too.
I love Cody Rhodes, but I refuse to call that Cody Rhodes. That is Stardust. I don't want to acknowledge anything about that. So I watch it for Goldust, and I always think he does such a great job. So maybe I'm a little biased. I don't care. I give it a 5. I liked it. Ish. It's average. Ish.
All right, so we got into the next match. The next match was John Cena versus Randy Orton.
Do 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 do.
Dun, 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 dun.
Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, I know. All right. So that was a Hell in a Cell match. So the match started off really well. Orton kind of controlled that. And the good thing about it was, Orton really went out there, and I didn't think they would do this, but he really used his environments. He used his cell really well. He ended up using some tables and crashing Cena through tables. They ended up getting the steps. So I was really happy that they were really using, because I thought they would just stick in the ring more, and they actually they really surprised me, you know. But you know, of course, how it all ends is Cena wins. Cena beats Orton, and the problem was the biggest problem I have is because you know I'm obviously I don't like Cena, but Orton actually sold everything really well in this match. He really made this match really, really good. And, you know, every time hitting the cell, I mean, Cena, he throws Orton in the thing and he taps him into the cell. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. And, yeah, so Cena ends up winning with his AA. He does the second AA, 1, 2, 3, match over.
This match. It was Randy Orton versus the Hell in a Cell. That's how I pictured it. I mean, Cena didn't do anything. He would just, like, he'd barely hit him, and he wasn't selling it really well, and all of a sudden, like, after getting the shit kicked out of him, he would just get up and, you know, start doing his moves like he wasn't even hurt. I'm like, this isn't realistic. This is terrible. John Cena sucks. It was just awful. I didn't want to watch anymore. I was so bored. But I am not a Randy Orton fan at all. He did such a good job in this match. I was really fucking impressed.
And you know, the craziest part was of the whole match was the whole fans, if you listen, I think it was twice where the fans start chanting Randy Orton. And just Randy Orton, like twice through the match. And
You
and
can
the
tell that it
and the
was
fans,
good.
and obviously fans, we're not really Randy Orton. I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'm pretty sure for the most part, because I never heard Randy Orton chant. So if you're chanting Randy Orton, it has to be something. And for that reason alone, and actually I liked that Tim White was the referee because I think he's the best ref in WWE right now. So to have him kind of gives a little bit of edge.
Yeah, he's
And,
no Earl Hebner. But
And you know, I was impressed a little bit because I didn't think, you know, I came into this match having not very high hopes, and the way Orton used every, you know, the tables, the cell, and the steps. I actually gave this a 7. I thought Orton did a phenomenal job. I mean, if Cena would just have come through, I think this could have been a 9, but he didn't, and it's a 7.
I gave it a 5.5. I would have given it a
Cold-blooded.
7
Whew.
if it was more realistic on Cena's part, but it wasn't. It wasn't realistic enough. Like, there's no way after getting the shit kicked out of you, they're just gonna sit up and start doing all your moves. Even Shawn Michaels didn't do that. I mean, Shawn Michaels would, like, pop up and start punching, but you knew that he was winded and that he was having a hard time, you know, getting his second win back. With Cena, it's just like magic. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, ta-da, I'm going to win the match now. Okay, I'm going to give out some headbands to little children and women. I was so, it was just, but, I mean, I wish I could give it a better review because Randy Orton did a spectacular job. I was so impressed. But you still get a 5.5 because Cena sucks. It's just the way it is. So, the next match was Rusev against Big Show. No.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. It's a lie.
Psych.
Redo. It was Miz versus Sheamus for the United States Championship. See, I got ahead of myself because this match to me was the one I was looking forward to the least. I even preferred the Bellas actually wrestling because there's something about this match I just wasn't into. But I love The Miz. I really do. I love The Miz. I just wasn't into it for some reason. When I saw that it was on the card, I was like, oh, I can skip that. You know, I wasn't really pumped about it.
I hear you.
But it surprised me. So, of course, Miz and Sandow come out as Miz Dow, his stunt double. And then, you know, Sheamus comes out. It had to be the funniest match I have ever watched in my entire life of wrestling. I cracked up so hard because every time the Miz would get hit or be put in an arm bar or, you know, be thrown off the ropes, Damien Sandow would mimic the moves and pretend like he was hurt the whole time. It was so hilarious. I actually stopped watching the match and just watched Damien Sandow the whole time. I just prayed that the Miz would get beat up so I can see Sandow acted out at the other side of the ring. I was so happy that that happened because the match would have been terrible. It would have been so boring. But after that, you know, I forgot I was watching a match. And it ends up that Sheamus wins, thankfully, because then I got to watch this whole reenactment after, and like even Sheamus was trying to figure out what was going on, so he started taking Miz's limp body and doing YMCA with it, and Sandow would be all limp doing YMCA. The whole crowd got into it. I was having a good time, and I was sad to see it end. But I actually don't remember the match whatsoever.
Yeah, that's great. You actually, but you told me the end because I couldn't even remember the end because I was just watching Damien Sandow the whole time, and I think everybody else was because that was hilarious. That was hilarious. It was great. It was great. It was perfect. The match going into it, yeah, like you, I'm almost repeating exactly what you said.
Because it's true.
And just watching them do that stupid. I mean, and then here's another thing. The fans are starting to cheer Sandow. I mean, well, Mizdow, excuse me.
Mizdow.
Yeah.
A huge pop, though.
Yeah, for Mizdow. And, yeah, when the match ended, I was actually a little disappointed because I just wanted to see him continue. It was a funny thing. The match itself, I guess, I really kind of, at first I watched, but, I mean, it's still, I think Miz should be one of the top heels, but that's another thing.
It is. So, for the rating for the match, I actually gave a question mark because I actually don't know, but I give Mizdow a 10. Because, damn it, he did a great job as a stunt double, and I was so excited. So, 10 for Mizdow, question mark on the match, because I actually have no idea what the fuck happened. I'm sorry, I feel bad, but I think if you watch the match too, you'll think the same.
I give it a 4.
He actually rated it.
Yeah, I did. I tried to watch it. Well, I give it a 4 because of Damien Sandow. Other than that, I mean, it was, I guess, boring. I guess.
You don't know. That's a crazy part.
And that's the.
You don't know.
That's the problem is the match didn't intrigue me, and I mean, I don't know.
We don't know.
4.
It's a question
4.
mark. But what about Sandow?
10.
Number 10. He got a 10. Finally,
I mean, there was when he went in that water, no splash. 10.
Yeah, it was
beautiful.
Perfect. All right, so now this match is actually the Big Show versus Rusev. I got it right this time. Don't worry about it. Did I?
You actually did.
Great. Okay, so okay, I'll start off with this. I love Lana. I think she's a great heel. I've been looking for a heel like her, and I've been waiting for a video where I can talk about how much I like her. Because she pisses everybody off. She doesn't wrestle, and I like that. That's a good heel manager. WWE, thank God, you figured it out. That's what I want. That's what I wanted, and now I'm happy. But he faces the Big Show. And the match is probably exactly how you'd expect it would be. It's a little stiff because, let's face it, Big Show's old. And he's not moving fast at all. None. It's very slow motion, and Rusev actually can move for, a bigger guy. So it was kind of hard to watch because you can see the struggle between the two. But I will say one thing. I've never seen the Big Show do a submission move. And he did. And it was crazy. And I was happy about it because I've never seen that in his arsenal of things. And he just put on this weird, headlock move. And I was like, oh my God, yes, something different. But then, of course he gets out of it. And Mark Henry ends up coming down for really no reason at all. He just starts talking to the Big Show like, you can do it, and all of a sudden...
You can do it.
And all of a sudden, Rusev puts his submission move on, and he falls asleep, and the match is over. Rusev wins. Woo.
But the one cool thing about it that I thought was the power of Rusev. I mean, when Rusev went there and suplexed Big Show, and that suplex was, it like he had no problem, like he was just lifting like me. I mean, he just easily suplexed him. To showcase his power like that was really cool. But like she said, the rest of it was very boring. And Mark Henry comes out and you're thinking, okay, maybe we'll get something intriguing from Mark Henry coming out. Nothing intriguing from Mark Henry coming out. Just a bunch of dead air. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about that match.
Yeah,
really.
It was really just kind of there.
It really was.
Just a little filler.
It was.
But I gave it, a 3 because the suplex was really impressive, and the submission move was actually really impressive, and Lana's always impressive. So it got better than the Bellas. I give it the good old 3.
Yeah, Lana is impressive as a heel manager. I love Lana as a heel manager. I mean, she's great.
Mhm.
She's exactly what you talked about. You know, you wanted that heel female manager that's not a wrestler, that's just a manager, but I still give the match 2.
I can see that.
I mean, boring. I mean, you got Rusev going against these people. I mean, give him a real person to go against. Don't give him these old. I don't want to say Big Show's washed up, but
he's going slow. I gotta admit that he's going a
but
little
he's giving
slow.
Mark Henry and Big Show, and it was already unintriguing coming into it, and then it just came exactly how I thought it would, and it's like, and then Mark Henry comes out, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're doing something with it, and then they disappoint me even more on that, which makes it.
Makes it the WWE.
Yeah, it makes the WWE a 2. A 2. Anyways, after that 2, the next match, we had Paige versus AJ Lee. Now, this match was okay. You know, Paige really controlled this match. She did a really good job. You know, AJ Lee kind of came in and started doing her stuff. Alicia Fox came in, kind of interrupted to give Paige, you know, the upper hand, and eventually AJ Lee comes through with the Black Widow and wins the match. You know, with this match, I expected more from them. I think they're the 2 best women wrestlers in wrestling right now, and I really thought they should do a lot more with themselves, because I mean these two can actually wrestle. These are the only 2 women wrestlers that can really put on a show.
We're not divas. They're wrestlers.
Yeah, they're wrestlers. Paige is a wrestler.
So is AJ.
And AJ is a wrestler. And I mean, they could have made this a long match, not long, but at least like a 8-10 minute match with this, and use some moves. And I felt like they didn't use them to what they could be. So I wasn't too happy with this match.
So I actually liked it. I thought it was fast paced, which is such a change because the divas are not fast paced. They're very slow. So when I see them 2 wrestle, I actually get a little excited. Well, no, not that way, but I get excited for, you know, he does. Not really. Anyways, but it was all, I mean, he was right. It was all right. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, but they did use, like, the barricade. Like, Paige was on top of the barricade, and AJ Lee gave her a neck breaker off of there, which I thought was pretty cool. And then Paige swung AJ into the barricade, like, just picked her up and swung her, which was really cool, too. So, I mean, there's things like that that make it exciting, and I'm just so against the divas that when I see women wrestlers, I always get so pumped. So I actually gave it probably a better score than he did.
Yeah, and it's not that I was trying to. I mean, I think they're really good women wrestlers. I really do. I just thought they used them wrong, and they didn't use them right. So I gave it a 3. I mean, those 2 should be putting on way more of a show for us because they're really good in the ring. And they can sell things. They can do great moves. And I didn't get that from them. So I'm going to give it a 3.
I gave it a 6. Because, you know what? It was better than the other divas.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm like, come on.
I
I'm
know,
used to
but
like Trish and Lita and Luna Vachon and Sensational Sherry.
But they
Those to me are like what I wanted, and they're close enough, so I gave it a 6.
But they can put on a 6 match, and they didn't. That's the problem.
It's okay. I'm good with it. So the next match is probably the lifesaver of this card. Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins.
Like lifesaver or life?
Life.
Oh, lifesaver.
No, it's a lightsaber because...
We start up the match with the... Continue.
Don't listen to him because he doesn't know what the fuck is going on right now. This was actually really good. So Dean Ambrose comes out first, and he doesn't just come to the ring. He brings a whole shit ton of like arsenal to the ring. He brings like a big stick. He brings chairs. He brings like like a duffel bag full of just random items like screwdrivers, spray cans. I don't know if it's like hairspray or spray paint. I don't know what it was. But he brought it to the ring, and then he just climbs up to the top. So I was excited. That's when I'm like, hell yeah, it's actually going to be a good Hell in a Cell. It's actually going to be used. It's not going to be a Cena versus Randy Orton match. Seth Rollins comes out. And he comes out with his two, like, bodyguard henchmen. And they have an argument about if he should go up or not. So that does take a little time. And you see Dean Ambrose just, going insane on top, hitting things, talking to himself, which I enjoyed. So finally, they come to the conclusion that his two henchmen should go up and get Dean Ambrose down. So, of course, it takes forever to climb up. It was a lot of time waiting for the match to start. But the two henchmen end up getting on top, and of course Dean Ambrose beats the shit out of him. But what I liked is that Seth Rollins was sneaking up the cage, and I didn't even notice. I didn't notice. I was so busy watching him beat the shit out of these other two guys that all of a sudden, there's Seth, and comes back from behind and starts kicking his ass. So they fight up there, and they start to crawl down. And I look down at the tables that are down below, because I'm thinking, like Foley, so I'm thinking they're going to fall on the table. And I noticed that they had no monitors, no papers, no nothing on their table. So I'm thinking, oh, great, they're both going to fall. What happens? They both fall.
Don't hate that. Don't do it.
I'm not hating it, but I just called it.
Okay.
It wasn't a surprise. Oh, my gosh, I can't believe they fell. It was, they're going to fall. So it was really cool, and they did fall, and then they brought out the medics, and they put them on stretchers. And so they got Seth starting to go out, and they got, Dean Ambrose on his. And, of course, Dean Ambrose is crazy as hell. He's crazy. I love it. He's crazy. He looks, he acts like a mental patient.
He is.
So he just breaks out and goes up to Seth Rollins and starts beating the shit out of him in his little, stretcher. And the match goes back in the ring, and, oh, my gosh, so good. Use props. Use tons of chairs. Use tons of tables. And no blood. But they used the props correctly. I mean, it really looked like they were hitting them. It wasn't like pussy hits where, oh, that didn't even collide with them. No, they actually used their props. And it was great. I mean, the whole match was constant moving, constant, little things being thrown at each other. And all of a sudden, near the end of the match, Dean Ambrose has the upper hand, and he brought two cinder blocks out. So you're thinking, shit's about to go down.
Curb stop time.
Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden the lights go out. And I just want to say this. I called this.
That's why I'm letting her review the match.
I called this because I told Ryan before the pay-per-view, Bray Wyatt's going to come out. Because he has no rival right now. And he's such a big character, he needs to go somewhere. It's like he's going to come out. Because how I knew it was going to be Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose is because they've never finished a match. There's always something that happens where their matches get interfered with or blah, blah, blah. So I knew it was going to be their match. And what happens? The lights go out, and I'm like, there he is, Bray Wyatt. And of course, also the lights go back on. There's like a little lantern in the middle with like this little ghost coming out of the lantern, which I actually pretty cool. It was cheesy, but cool at the same time. And then, of course, the lights go out again. And when they come back on, there's Bray Wyatt. Just like doing his little back thing and just staring at Dean Ambrose.
Which has to be the coolest thing. I love it. Sorry,
I
just had to say it. I mean,
it was cool, and I love Bray Wyatt, but I just didn't want something like that to happen during this match. I really wanted them to finish the match, but it's Bray Wyatt, so I was happy. And of course, he beats the shit out of Dean Ambrose and lets Seth pin him. So that's what happened.
I really liked this match a lot. I mean, obviously starting on top of the cage. They haven't been doing this kind of thing, and then using all the props. I mean, using the tables right, using the chairs, even Kane on the outside using the fire extinguisher, and his, Dean Ambrose with his fire extinguisher from the outside. I mean, they just used everything right, and they used it like a Hell in a Cell should be. Crazy. You don't know what's going to happen, and you didn't know what was going to happen. They just kept using things, and it was, you were on edge, and that's the way a Hell in a Cell should be. You should be on edge.
Nice young talent.
And I was on edge the whole time. Even when, Bray Wyatt came out, you're still on edge. And the way they set that up, and, with the lantern there in the, black, and the lantern there in the middle, and then, that ghost figure and everything. Yeah, you figured out it was him, but it was really cool how they used it. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't really finish a match, just them two going at it. A little disappointed, but, you still can't. You still gotta like the match. So, what do you?
So I gave it a 7. I did. It was great, but I really wish they would have finished.
So I end up giving this one an 8. I did say 7, but I mean, you have to give it an 8 because I just don't think that WWE can use the Hell in a Cell like they can nowadays.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
them using that Hell in a Cell the way they did was just incredible. And for that reason only, because these are two young guys going at it in this Hell in a Cell, trying to get their rep up and all this, and I mean they just used it so great. So and I know WWE kind of killed the ending there, but
It was
you got to
alright.
give it up to them too. I mean,
Yeah,
giving them an 8 at least. I mean, to give them a 7, that's just
I don't give them
that's
a
breaking
7.
their balls.
I don't give them a 7. I give the WWE a 7 for doing that to the match. I really did. I like to do that to the Cena match because I really didn't care.
All right, so our final thing is on the whole pay-per-view. So on the whole pay-per-view, I give this a 6.5. I didn't want to give it a 6. I didn't want to give it a 7. A 6.5. This pay-per-view actually turned out better than I thought it would. You know, I mean, I've been disappointed quite a bit lately, but they actually pulled through on some matches. Some they didn't. So I think, 6.5, for a good job, but you're getting there, but not quite. So good 6.5.
I give it a 4.
Really?
Yeah. It's just
Wow.
matches I've seen so many times before. It was nothing new for me. I wasn't really, there wasn't, having matches that are 2 on a pay-per-view, barely a 2. I mean, come on now. It just makes the rating go down far worse for me. So I gave it a 4. A lot of these things I could have seen on Raw.
Yeah, but compared to the other ones,
It's a lot of things I could have seen
I
on
just
Raw.
added compared.
No, I don't need to compare because
Okay.
they should do a better job. And one thing before this thing ends, I just want to say is that I am pissed the fuck off that they don't have a goddamn champion on there. They should have their champion on this fucking pay-per-view. We pay to see the champion. When you don't put the championship belt on someone who's going to be on your roster for your pay-per-view, it makes me think, why should I even watch this? Why? Because no one's worthy to be the champion there. That's what they're telling me. Just a little FYI. Pissed me off. Fuck you, WWE, for doing that to me.
Thank you guys for listening to us rant, well, her rant and me review. Have a good night. Good to see ya.
And before we go, I just want to say that I love Calgary Flames. But go Detroit! Woo!
See ya. I hate you.